Hello, Albuquerque.
In those days, it was 41, so there's a lot of racism.
I'm a Boeing 737 first officer.
I did a lot of research and I recommend everyone do the same.
And now suddenly you're addicted,
Right.
literally to heroin.
Where were you born? I was born in Cambridge, England.
Both my parents were drug addicts.
No dirty jokes, right?
Oh, you can say whatever you want. You can cuss, all that good stuff. Welcome, everybody, to the podcast, the premiere episode. Today, we have a special guest in the house, somebody near and dear to my heart. This man is extraordinary in my eyes and has hella good stories to tell. So today, please help me welcome Ralph Papo Enriquez. Welcome, Papo.
Hey, glad to be here.
This is a long time coming. It took us a long time to get this done, but it's about time we're getting it done. So first off, I wanted to start by explaining the premise to this show. This show is about extraordinary people who are also everyday people. And you are that. You've lived an extraordinary life. You've raised some extraordinary kids and grandkids and great-grandkids. And you've got the most funny, great stories to tell. And that's what we're going to explore today. You're going to tell me some of these stories. So let's start with, how did you get the name Papo? Did somebody come up with that, or is...
Well, the grandkids, I guess that's like a name for grandpa, I guess. So to shorten it, they put Papa. So that's what...
So the grandkids came up with it?
Yes.
Okay, I was just wondering if maybe like Gina came up with that, or somebody just because they thought it was cute or something, but...
No, it was my grandkids. In fact, I think it was my grandson, Robert, that came up with it.
Interesting.
And everybody calls me Papa now, all the grandkids, great-grandkids.
Yes, so for the listener, when you hear me referring to Papo, this is Ralph. That's who I'm talking about. It's just, in the family, it's affectionately known as Papo, so nobody calls him Ralph. It sounds weird to even hear that, but... All right, Papo. Now, there's some confusion about the year you were born. Tell me about that.
Well, I was born in 1941, but they did not record my birth until the following year, which was 42. But and the reason was because my folks were farmers, sharecroppers in El Paso, Texas, and they didn't have time, I guess, to take me to get me registered because I was born at home. We didn't have a hospital. We didn't have no money, so I was brought up by a woman there that was lived next door. But no, that was many years ago. I never spoke any English until I was in the first grade, and at home it was all Spanish. So
No kidding.
no, so yeah, so when I went to the first grade in El Paso, the school teacher put all the Hispanic people. Well, the school put all those Hispanic guys on one section of the school, and the other section was white guys, and the teacher she didn't like. In those days, it was 41, so there's a lot of racism and prejudice in the country. And my teacher told us to mention our names. My name is really Rafael, and the teacher, when she came to me, I told her Rafael, and she told me, "What?" I said Rafael, and she said, "No, I don't want any Mexican names here."
Wow.
So she called me Ralph, and to this day.
So that stuck from a teacher.
Yeah. My mom, when I got home that night, she told me, I told her about it, and she said, "Well, I guess that's the way it is." So,
Holy crap.
so that was my name that stuck with me all my life. But like I said, my birth certificate says Rafael.
Interesting. That's crazy. I didn't know you guys didn't have a hospital down there or anything. That's nuts.
Well, if we did, we couldn't afford to go anyway. So
Well, that's still nowadays too. Nobody can afford to go to the damn hospital,
Right.
But that's another day, another topic.
But it was a good bringing up over there. Had cousins. My mom and dad were alive. Of course, my grandpa was also alive. He lived with us, and it just so happened that I was his favorite of all.
Of course.
He had a lot of grandkids, great grandkids, but I was his favorite. And I remember one year, I must have been about 6, 7 years old, I guess, and a day after Christmas, and we were playing outside with the toys we had gotten for Christmas, and my older brother had gotten a BB gun, and he was outside, and he shot it up in the air towards a tree to hit a bird, and then my younger brother started jumping up and down and crying and yelling and everything. My dad ran outside and what was going on, and my brother said, my younger brother said, Juan shot up in the air and hit me with a BB. It's coming down. So my dad, he knew that couldn't happen. So anyway, he told him, come here. So he got my brother and put a noose around his neck and threw a rope over a limb. He said, I'm going to hang you. So, but of course he was just standing on the ground and then snooze. And then I started laughing. And he said, oh, you think it's funny? So he got me and did the same thing, put a snooze around my neck and threw a rope around the tree. So I was with standing there, me and my brother next to one another. And I told him, I said, Juan, who do you think is going to die first? And he told me, well, me, stupid. I was hung first, remember? So anyway, of course, it was just he was just trying to be funny. But that was some of my experiences growing up. Moved to RA during the Korean War in New Mexico, and that's where we grew up. We were like I said, farmers. We picked cotton, chili, tomatoes, all that stuff. Our main crop, of course, was picking cotton. There was 6 of us, plus my mom and dad. And my dad he never went to school. He didn't know any English.
Oh, wow.
He didn't even know how to write. Or Spanish, he couldn't even write it.
Oh, no kidding.
So he was very limited on a lot of that stuff. So we had to help with the expenses of the household. So my brother and I, and even my younger brother, we worked there with Mr. John Bradley there in Ray, and he gave us work. My dad was a foreman, but we every year during the month of October we were pulled out of school to pick cotton there we had 18 acres that my Mr. Bradley sharecropped with us. So we didn't want to pay anybody. My dad didn't want to pay anybody to help us pick the cotton because, profit would be not much. So
right.
Me and my 2 brothers stayed home for the whole month of October to pick cotton there. And of course, at the beginning, the high school didn't approve of it. But when they got a letter from Mr. Bradley and finally realized that, hey, we got to do what we got to do to live.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
But that was part of growing up at that time.
Real quick, do you think, going back to the racism in your school, do you think that because of the times with World War II going on and whatnot, well, I guess when you were in elementary, that was after World War II, correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, but do you think that, I guess, the mindset at that time came from World War II and the racism?
It could have been. Blacks were not allowed to fight in World War II up until the end. But I don't know. My dad wasn't drafted, or he was drafted actually, but they gave him a deferment because he had family and everything. So
Yeah.
But no, growing up, you don't look at those things. You don't think about those.
Well, yeah, as a kid you don't, but I mean, looking back now, that played a big role in your life, obviously. I mean, they changed your name as a kid, and it still stands to this day. This is, 80 years later, give or take. So.
I didn't know about it then, but it wasn't the only time that we saw this. I saw this living in New Mexico also. In high school, there was 90 in our class, in our senior class, and whenever we voted for something, all the Hispanics voted one way, and the white guys voted the other way.
Oh, man.
We didn't have any blacks in our school. There was one, but not in my class at that time. But that's the way it's been, I guess, forever.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Now, also on the note of World War II, taking it back there, you have lived through all kinds of stuff, because I have lived through a bunch of stuff in my life, and just to think of the changes that you've lived through, how does that compare in your eyes? Like when you were a kid, you didn't even have a phone in your house. You didn't even have a fridge, did you?
No, we had a nice box. We didn't have a phone. We didn't have a television. Of course, in those days there was, I think the first TV that we ever saw was 1951, something like that, because this people that lived there in Array were the first people that had a television set, and then they used to let us go over there and watch TV, the wrestling matches.
Nice.
But nobody else had it, and of course we didn't have a phone. And then I played baseball. Let's see, what year was it? 58. Yeah, 1958. I was already a senior in high school, and my old brother had joined the Marine Corps, and I went. Me and my buddy. Went to a dance there in Hatch, New Mexico.
Oh, I've been to dances there. They're no good.
And anyway, we met up with a couple of. Well, actually, I was dancing with this gal, and I got her name, etc., etc. And then I decided that hey, I didn't want to sit down because if you did, then they'd grab her. So I stayed on the floor talking to her, and then this buddy of mine that had gone with me came and tapped me on my shoulder and said, "Hey, look what I found." I turned around and I said, "Oh my God, it was a woman just like it, another girl just like alike." And I said, "Oh," and they said they were twins, so they're twins, identical. So we made a date for the following week. So we went to go pick them up. Of course, I didn't know which was my date because they, like I said, so I asked them. I said, "Who's my date?" So my present wife said, "I am." So I said, "Oh, okay." But it wasn't her. It was supposed to be her twin sister that I had made a date with. But they decided that she liked me and my sister-in-law liked my friend. So, they switched. Of course, we didn't know. I didn't find out about it for about 3 months. And that's when I found out, and that's when she told me. So
So for the first 3 months, you had this idea in your head that you were dating one girl, but in reality, you were with the sister.
Yeah.
Who you're still with to this day.
Well, my wife, she's still around. But when I met her, my sister-in-law talked a lot. She did a lot of talking. And my wife, she was kind of quiet. So so we picked them up for our dates. The girl that was sitting next to me there in the car was quiet. And the gal in the back seat with my friend did a lot of talking. And I said, "Wow, that's strange." I said, now the other one's doing all the talking. But see, I didn't know that they had switched. But anyway, yeah, been married now, 64 years.
That's awesome.
We've been together all these years.
I hope to achieve that someday. I'll be lucky to get there.
I'll tell you, it's not easy.
Well, and nowadays especially, it's hard to find couples that stay together more than 5 years anymore. It's kind of like a game nowadays.
True.
It's very sad.
That's the problem, is that you can get married and you say, "Oh, well, I can get divorced."
Yeah, and everybody does.
And the old days, it was something that you just had to agree with and say, you married and that's it. I mean, you cannot just be changing your mind.
Yep.
I went to Las Cruces to visit my wife, who was living at the time with her grandparents. And I went to the house and I told her grandpa, when I got there, he was sitting outside. He must have been, I don't know, maybe 80, somewhere around there, probably my present age. Anyway, he said, "What do you want?" I said, I came to look for my wife at the time I said, I came for Joanne. And she said, "What's your name?" And I told him. He said, "What do you do?" I said, "I'm a farmer." "Who's your father?" "Juan Enriquez." "How much money? Do you work?" "Yes, sir." "How much money do you make?" $36 a week, sir. And he said, "Well, she's not here." Anyway, turns out that she was one of her aunts, but I still went to go see her anyway after her aunt told me, "Oh, she's over there," so I went over there.
Full interrogation for him to just tell you, "Nope, she's not there."
Yeah, she's not there. Said, after all this, and I said, "Well, she's not here."
Now, one of my favorite stories that you tell, Papo, is about you relieving yourself in the tree.
Oh, I'd rather not talk about that.
Oh, come on. It's a great story. People have to hear that.
Well, we were kids, and we had a tree there. That was in El Paso, and we had a tree there by the house. And my younger brother had grown. We had decided to go up the trees, so he went up before I did. Well, he went almost to the top, and when I was about halfway, I decided that I had to go to the potty. I didn't want to get all the way down, so I just took my pants off, and right there, all over the tree. So I jumped off. Anyway, when my brother was getting down, he saw it. He started yelling and crying, and my mom went out there and wanted to know what was going on, and she told her, and so she told me, "Get the hose and water that tree now." So I did.
And this is part of the reason you developed your nickname from your mom. Tell us what that is.
Oh, she used to call me Satanás, which in Spanish means devil. And even to this day, my wife in New Orleans will say Satanás, But it was a funny deal. I remember my mom used to dress up as Santa Claus, and we believed in Santa Claus. I was in the second grade, and we used to talk about it in school with the school kids. And yeah, do you believe in Santa Claus? And I told them, yes, I do. And they said, oh, no, that's not true. There's no Santa Claus. But I found out that there's really no Santa Claus. But really, there is, because if you believe in Jesus Christ and the Lord and heaven, etc., Santa Claus can be just about anybody. And even me, years later, I used to dress up as Santa Claus for the kids, for my 3 kids.
Yeah.
But no, we had a good first. We got married, and we had a little baby. We named her after her mom, and she. We were, of course, we were teenagers, but she got sick one day, and we couldn't figure out what it was. So we took her to the doctor, and he said that he wasn't sure to take her to El Paso to a specialist, and we did. And that's when we found out that she was dying of leukemia, which wasn't and isn't still to this day. There's no cure for it.
Yeah.
So she lived to be 9 months, and she died.
Jeez, Papo, I never knew that, and you guys never talked about that before. That's crazy.
Yeah, she's buried there next to my mom and dad.
Wow.
But yeah, she was 9 months old when she died, and even to this day, we still every day, I talk to her every day, every single day, because there was we had gotten her a little teddy bear, and I have it by my bed.
Oh, wow.
And every morning and every night, I'll go and touch it and rub her little legs and her little nose, and I say something to her.
Oh, Papo, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. So, okay, let's change the conversation around here.
Okay.
So, I know that you never had any Peeping Tom incidents, but you have some Peeping Tom stories.
Yeah.
Tell me about your friends and their Peeping Tom adventures.
Well, it was there. In fact, I was already married. We lived in Las Cruces, but my brothers, by the way, my mom had already passed away. And
when did your mom pass away, by the way?
She was 1960s.
So 60s.
1960,
okay.
Yeah.
So you were already grown up.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But she was only 43.
Oh, jeez.
But anyway, my brothers, my 2 brothers, younger brothers, and his 2 friends had gone out peeping toming. And there was the husband of the woman that they were looking through the window sort of spotted her, and he ran outside, and he took off. And my younger brother, my little brother, and his 2 friends, they went up a little hill there. And my other brother, he ran up towards where we had the Mexican braceros that pick cotton that were living, and he went over there and when this guy was looking for him, I guess my brother decided it was safe, so he went and started going home, and the guy's husband said, he told, hey, so he said, what do you think? He said, where were you coming from? He said, I was over there visiting with the braceros. He said, somebody was looking at my wife. Oh, really? Yeah. Can you help me find him? Yeah. So anyway, he started looking, and he had a gun with him, and he said, now, if it was you, where would you be hiding? And my brother said, well, probably on top of that little hill over there, because, that way, they could see going down. So he shot that away, and guess what? They were there, and he missed them. But they said, oh, my God, he can see us. So they started running. So anyway, when she said, well, I guess he's not around. He said, I guess I'll see you later. So my brother went home, and on the way home, he hid behind some bushes, and my younger brother and his 2 friends were walking by there, and he yelled, help! And they said, oh, don't shoot, please. They thought it was... I'll tell you, that's just things that that happen when you're growing up, I guess.
Yeah, nowadays that's not acceptable. That would be it's not, I guess, a fun thing for kids like it would be back in the day. Now that's considered pervy, and you'll go to jail forever, which understandably so. But it was a different culture back then, I feel like. And to that note, you and Nanny used to do all kinds of fun stuff, like go to dances, which was probably your primary source of entertainment back then, right?
Oh, yeah, every weekend.
And you would also go down to Mexico.
Mexico?
Yeah, tell me about that.
Well, we usually would go to Juarez there and have, we would dance and leave Las Cruces and drive down to Juarez, only about, 30 minutes. And then we would go down there and finish drinking the rest of the night and come back.
And
morning.
the landscape was completely different that back then too, right? There wasn't like major highways like there is now and all that.
No. There's only a like 2-lane road, like freeways now, but they didn't have those in those days.
That's crazy.
Oh no, they're completely different. Of course, it was a lot safer to go into Mexico too. Also,
Yeah.
yeah, there was no problem because we used to go down there pretty often on Sundays. Just spend the night Sundays over there with the kids, but not anymore.
Was the border crossing the same procedure or?
Yeah, you stop and they ask you citizenship, and you tell American. And so we used to, the guys I worked with, he used to have a friend in California that came down every so often, and they liked rum, that they have in those jugs that is covered by that straw, whatever you call it, and it's a gallon. So he would give us money to go down there and buy as many as we could. They used to let you 1 gallon a person.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and so we used to first we would drive across and then pick up. And then we had another couple that went with us, so it'd be 4 gallons of rum, and then we drive back, parking lot. Then we walk across and pick up another 4 gallons of rum because he wanted as many as he could because this guy in California liked that rum and they couldn't buy it over there. So
Yeah.
So we would go in, and he would be real happy because he had and then we'd go the following week, so he had like 16 gallons of rum to take back to California. Yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah, we had, it was nice. I really miss living up there in the southern part of the state.
Now, on that note, I think it was your career that brought you to Santa Fe, right?
Yeah, I used to work for this tire company, and I started in Las Cruces, went to Arizona, came back to Santa Fe, and that's where we
You settled down.
settled down, and the kids grew up, went to school, high school, took off.
Now, were all the kids already born by the time you got to Santa Fe, or?
Oh yeah, they were already in school.
Okay.
Yeah, and from there, everybody after they graduated, everybody took off. One of them went to school in Dallas to learn computer training, and then the other one joined the military. And the only one, my daughter, she didn't. She stayed, but she lived, and then she moved to Albuquerque, and she was working here.
You worked for your company for many, many years. How long did you work for them?
34 years.
34 years, and you retired from with
I
them.
retired there. Well, actually, I retired in '55, but the reason was because my health. I had heart trouble, and when we moved over here, they recruited me to go work part time, sort of like a trainer, and so they used me as a floater. I call it a floater because there's several stores. So I would work in all of them so I worked there another 7 years. So really, I retired when I was as a store manager in Santa Fe, 28 years, and then over here at part-time sales.
That's what I call a career.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
And you got a lot of perks throughout your career from them, right?
Oh yeah, sure did. A lot of perks. Yeah, I remember what year was it? I don't remember exactly. I was in Santa Fe, but they offered me assistant manager position, but I didn't take it because we would have to move to El Paso, which was not bad. But I was already settled in my job, and I liked what I was doing, so I said no. And then this gentleman from Ruidoso called me one day, and he said he wanted to talk to me and about a job, and I said, well, I've got a good job. And he said, well, I have something I want to offer you. So I said, okay. So I met with him. And he offered me a job in Ruidoso to run 2 of his stores over there. And he said, you can live rent-free in my house. You'll have a vehicle. And whatever you're making now, I'll double it.
It's a hell of a deal.
But I don't know. I made some calls, and it turns out that Ruidoso is also kind of a little Texas.
Yeah. Still today it is.
So I said, no, I want to stay where I'm at. So I did. But the guy that he hired, I recommended him, and he did. He hired him.
And you opened both the stores in Santa Fe. Is that correct?
Oh yeah, yeah. The one in I opened it in '72, and the other one in 1988.
And they are still there and both still running strong.
Oh yeah,
That's awesome.
Number one, they're both in the top 5 in the district out of 34 stores, so they're still kicking.
Well, so aside from your amazing storytelling and your hilarious jokes and stories, I'd like to just say that the reason I wanted you interview you on here is because in my eyes you've had a successful life, very successful, and you're far from extraordinary. People don't have longevity like you do in any aspect of their life, much less in every aspect of their life. So it's very impressive, and especially with your health scares, that you're not only still around but still super active every day, and you made this entire career. You raised 3 kids and numerous grandkids and now great grandkids, and when you look back on your life, is there anything that you would like to add to that? I'm not saying change anything, but like, is there anything else you would have liked to pursue that you didn't get the chance to?
Well, it's kind of a tough question because there's a lot of stuff, but probably the number one thing is that I kind of, in fact, I still talk about it. I sometimes wonder is, I wish my mom would have lived longer and I would have known what, because they never knew what it was to own a house.
Yeah.
And that was something that I always thought about all those years. But as far as anything else, I don't know that I would change maybe I should have taken that job and assistant manager. But my wife wanted to because her family there in Las Cruces. But I don't know. Maybe I should have, but.
Well, and hypothetically, had you taken that job, what direction do you think that would have, what would have changed?
Well, I think that, we had to move to El Paso, of course, but I think that eventually I could have got going up higher in the company. Because I'll be honest with you, that company the opportunities are there for the one that wants to advance.
Right.
Yeah.
So, on that note, we're going to end things here, and I just wanted to say thank you again for joining me today, Papo, and I'm sure in the future I'm going to have you on again so you can tell me some more of these funny stories.
All right. As long as jokes are not something that you keep in your mind, it's something that comes up, so...
Yeah, you need to think of them.
Yeah, I do.
You're always telling jokes over dinner, and it's hilarious. So we want to see some of that on here. But anyway, thank you again for joining me today, and thank you for all the stories. And yeah, we'll talk to you soon. Thanks again.
Very welcome. Okay, thanks.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
My wife said, "Be careful what you say, because you're going to be on." So Armando sent me a text. He said, I understand you're going to be doing a little acting today. So I told him, I said, well, I haven't come up with any stage name yet. Can you get any ideas?